Doug Ford has met with some area First Nations leaders, but not all of them are on board with his government's priorities. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The Ontario Premier made his way to Greenstone yesterday to renew partnerships with 4 area First Nations.
Not all of the chiefs are pleased with the province's priorities, though, when it comes to working with their communities. Justin Hardy was in Greenstone for the announcement yesterday and joins us in studio with the details. Justin.
Thank you, Ryan. Doug Ford made a brief appearance at the future site of the McGeezy Plaza on Tuesday, where he confirmed agreements with the First Nations and promised to build or improve highway infrastructure connecting the 4 communities. But officials from Ganoogaming were not celebrating as much as the others, as they say the more pressing issues in their community are not being addressed. Doug Ford met with leadership from Long Lake 58, Arrowland First Nation, Animbigo-Zagin, Anishinaabe, and Ganoogaming First Nation to sign letters of confirmation to support renewed partnerships with the 4 communities. He also announced $1.9 million for the Indigenous Workforce Development Program and $2 million to fund the construction and maintenance of the McGeezy Plaza rest stop on Highway 11, just outside Geraldton.
Without your collaboration and cooperation, this would not be happening right now. This is your legacy that you can drive by and tell your children, your grandchildren. If it wasn't for your leadership and everyone's cooperation, this wouldn't be happening right now. And it's such an honor to be here with you today, especially during National Indigenous History Month.
These opportunities that we have before us is going to create employment for our communities. They're going to enhance our communities, you know, in every which way. You know, we're all here for the same reason, prosperity, to make our communities grow.
Ford also announced plans to build and improve highway infrastructure and to develop a pre-charge diversion program with relevant First Nations and police services, as well as plans to relocate the Greenstone OPP detachment funded by Greenstone Gold Mine. Not every community leader in attendance was celebrating. Ganoogaming First Nation says that its chief participated Tuesday in duress. The community has been in a continuous state of emergency for the past 30 days. Chief Sherry Taylor says her community's suffering hasn't been addressed by the provincial and federal governments.
Our community is not starting at the same place in the starting line when it comes to Ontario's focus on investments in Greenstone. It is not missed on me that projects that benefit the government of Ontario are taking precedence over the resolution of our state of emergency, and that 7 decades of grievances that we've experienced have not been resolved.
The Premier was not made available for any questions from the media following the announcement. Minister of Indigenous Affairs and First Nations Economic Reconciliation Greg Rickford says he and his office will be following up with Ganoogaming leadership about issues it's facing immediately. He also called on Federal Minister of Indigenous Services Patty Hajdu to assist.
And I hope that the federal minister will pay attention to what's gone on here today with the full support of the First Nations communities and commit now here today that when I call, she'll pick up the phone, she'll say, hello, Greg, let's address these residual matters that Chief Taylor mentioned.
Some of Ganoogaming First Nations grievances include industry and land sale activities, including water diversion being carried out on traditional territories without compensation or economic inclusion, and failure to implement a mining withdrawal to protect or preserve ongoing treaty land entitlement candidate lands. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
A busy intersection along the Thunder Bay Expressway was shut down to all traffic early this afternoon following a 4-vehicle collision involving a transport truck. This dashcam video shows the shocking crash at the John Street intersection just before 12:30. 2 pickup trucks and an SUV sustained significant damage, and the transport was left leaking fuel. Thunder Bay Police and OPP responded, along with several ambulances and fire crews. According to the OPP, no life-threatening injuries were reported to police. The driver of the transport has been charged with careless driving, and the intersection reopened around 1:30.
There's a bit of a disturbance in Schreiber today. Some people in the community were forced to evacuate their homes this morning after an old military explosive was found. The OPP Explosives Disposal Unit was on site to recover and dispose of the device, and affected residents were allowed to return home this afternoon. The Housing Accelerator Fund is picking up speed here in Thunder Bay.
The city unveiled a banner today at City Hall as the first of many initiatives aimed at raising awareness about new housing incentives. Lee Noonan has more.
Members of the Mayor's Task Force on Building More Homes gathered at City Hall to unveil their Let's Build Thunder Bay banner.
Well, we've put up a great banner to let people know that the Accelerator Fund is accelerating in its availability to the community.
The City Task Force is creating grants for developers, nonprofits, and for regular homeowners. There are 2 grants open for application right now and 3 more expected to launch soon, according to Summer Stevenson, project manager for the Housing Accelerator Fund.
The next set of grants that are coming include the additional dwelling unit grant. So what this means is that this is a grant almost exclusively for homeowners looking to add an additional unit in their home. So whether that be a basement apartment or a backyard home.
Stevenson says city planning staff can help homeowners prepare for the application, and she recommends reaching out right away.
We're encouraging you to get your projects ready now.
During Monday's council meeting, a heated exchange broke out involving a representative of the Construction Association of Thunder Bay expressing frustration that the city and the Mayor's Task Force haven't collaborated more with industry on the housing file.
I have no idea where that could have come from at all. My door is always open, and there's been no member of the construction industry that has ever had a problem getting in to see me.
The city's gone through a lot of work to develop these grants, and that we have not been involved in that. So to come to us and say, well, here's the grants and that, and this is what we're going to put in place, and then expect us to be all excited or whatever, that's pretty hard.
Harold Lindstrom represents the Construction Association of Thunder Bay on the Mayor's Task Force. He acknowledges that the mayor has indeed made himself available, but says the association wants a more structured approach to collaboration. He's optimistic that the Mayor's Task Force could become that forum.
We would like to work with the city, and in particular the building department, the realty department, all over, to be able to get the things that we need.
The City Hall banner is only the first step in what will be a bigger campaign that'll roll out as more grant programs are launched. More information about the city's Housing Accelerator Fund initiatives can be found online at buildthunderbay.ca. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
An exciting announcement for Children's Centre Thunder Bay. MPP Kevin Holland hosted a news conference at Roots to Harvest to confirm that the city will get a new youth wellness hub.
This will be one of 10 new hubs that the government is adding to the existing network of 22 that have been opened across the province since 2020. Nev Van Pelt reports.
Beginning in 2025, the new Youth Wellness Hub will help connect youth and their families to convenient and free mental health and well-being services in a safe, youth-friendly space. MPP Kevin Holland started engaging with agencies and community groups dealing with mental health when he was first elected, and says bringing a hub like this to Thunder Bay is very important.
This is really going to fill that gap for youth between 12 and 25 that we're kind of slipping through the system a bit, and be able to provide that care for them as they develop into adults and become members of their community, and generally just improve their overall health.
Children's Centre Thunder Bay is leading the co-design of the new hub, and CEO Diane Walker says they've been hard at work for about a year. The amount of funding for the new wellness hub was not revealed, and they don't have a location yet, but Walker explained what the space will provide.
It's a point of connection and access that is safe, that is caring, that is open, that is welcoming, and supports both Indigenous and non-Indigenous youth. It's just this really cool space where youth can come and get help, and families can come and get help as well.
The organization will ensure that diverse youth voices and unique needs of Indigenous youth are the main focus with design and planning. Youth Steering Committee rotating co-chair Gwen Carrasco, who led one of the circles at a youth forum in November, was very proud of how far they've come.
It is honestly just like a beacon, basically, of hope. And I am used to my whole life having to fight against the grain and having to fight for things. And it is always incredible when something finally goes our way.
The new hub in Thunder Bay, along with the 9 others being implemented in other cities, will bring the total of wellness hubs across the province to 32. Nev Van Pelt, TBT News.
There's new hope that a condo development that's been stalled for more than a decade could get back underway next year. The owner of the Thunder Bay Country Club property is optimistic the cost of materials could fall enough to justify construction of the condominium complex in the middle of the property. A spokesperson for De Gregorio Development says the company will consider erecting the building's shell starting next spring, but it could still be a few years before they can look at finishing the interior of the condos. The company acquired the golf course and the foundations of the 109-unit condo project in 2022. The planned 6-story building was started in 2012, but never advanced beyond ground level. The company says the components have been well protected from the elements and only some of them suffered moisture damage.
Anyone who gets a text message saying that they have an overdue parking fine is being advised to ignore it. It's the newest scam that's been brought to the attention of Thunder Bay's municipal parking services. The text message tells the recipient to click on a link to pay the overdue fine, but clicking on the unknown link could expose one's electronic device to malicious web pages or viruses. Instead, residents are advised to delete the message or call municipal parking services if they have concerns about unpaid tickets. Supervisor Jonathan Pask says they don't call, text, or email people about overdue parking violations. They only send mail. He adds this isn't just happening in Thunder Bay.
Actually, there were some other news articles that I read that the people in Windsor and in Calgary were receiving the exact same kind of text messages. So not unique to Thunder Bay, but we have noticed a decline in the phone calls we've been getting from residents. So hopefully either the social media posts were helping. It looks like it might be calming down, but we wanted to make sure the residents stayed safe and didn't give out any information that they shouldn't have.
The Thunder Bay Border Cats had a busy day at Port Arthur Stadium with 3 games on the schedule due to a rainout last night. The first game at 11 o'clock this morning had a great turnout as about 1,200 students from various schools around the city got to come see the Cats take on the Waterloo Bucks. This was the second and final school day game of the season. Our TBT summer intern reporter Holden Dougal spoke with some of the kids about their day out at the ballpark.
Is there anything you like about baseball?
Yeah, I like watching. It's exciting to watch people pitch and to see if they hit the ball towards us or not, and seeing if you can catch it.
So what does it mean to you to be here for this game?
I'm really excited to be here, especially with my friends.
Is this your first time coming here?
No, I've been here lots more.
Are you a fan of the Border Cats?
Yes.
And sports anchor Josh Moreno will have highlights from today's game a little later on in the news hour.
Last night's thunderstorm brought with it some extreme weather activity, including reports of potential tornadoes around Whitefish Lake. Officials with the Northern Tornadoes Project at Western University are now looking for evidence of that. Meanwhile, hundreds of trees were knocked down in Oliver Papoonge. Most of the damage was isolated to the far end of John Street Road near Mackey Road. Hydro 1 was dealing with numerous power outages due to the trees falling on hydro lines. And Public Works crews had around 24 trees to remove from roads around Oliver Papoonge. John Street Road homeowner Pete Hutzing appears to have gotten the worst of it. Around 36 trees on his property came down last night. He says all seemed calm when the thunderstorm began at around 7 p.m.
And I was in the house watching it because I love thunderstorms, and all of a sudden the wind turned more violent than I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I was running from my front window to my back window watching trees come down in force.
How many trees came down around your property?
I'm guessing, I haven't counted yet. At first I thought around 25, but we're looking at about 35, 40 trees, I'm guessing. Yeah, I got a bit of a mess to clean up, but no one's hurt and it's okay.
And the house is okay and your trailers?
The house is okay. Oh, my trailer, one tree missed the front. Another tree missed the back by inches, so.
Hydro One's outage website shows around 500 people in that area were still without power as of late this afternoon.
And that could have been a lot worse. As you said, a mess to clean up, but fortunately everyone's okay and no real property damage to the home either. And Fiona, it's really not a surprise. You and I were speaking a little bit earlier today. Our dogs did not like the storm last night.
That was a loud one. That was a really loud one, and a lot of light show activity. I had a lot of very nervous pooches, and one that was very angry and kept yelling at the ceiling. So no surprise with those heavy rainfall, strong winds, the temperatures just kept going up. In fact, we hit yesterday's daytime high at about 11 o'clock at night as we were in the midst of those thunderstorms. And here in the city of Thunder Bay, we started out the night on the other side of midnight at 18 Celsius. It stayed at that pretty much most of the early morning hours. And then in the last few hours, it's warmed up to 22 Celsius. That's with winds gusting 18 to 43 kilometers per hour, mostly cloudy. So now we're kind of on the back end of that system. Throughout the region, still a little bit of a mixed bag. To the west, things have been clearing out quite nicely. Temperatures last night were definitely a lot cooler than they were in Thunder Bay. Very seasonal though, 9-10 Celsius towards the Manitoba border. At this hour, they're at 19 in Fort Frances with loads of sunshine. Partly sunny in Pickle Lake and Red Lake at 18. So you can see very similar temperatures. 20 in Armstrong at this hour. Greenstone, a lot of rain and cloud, but the temperatures really didn't move much. They've been sitting between 17, 18, 19 Celsius since about midnight last night. Along the North Shore, a little bit cooler. Marathon at 14, 13 in Wawa, and Sault Ste. Marie, lots of cloud there. They're currently at 19 Celsius. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we're going to see clear skies overnight tonight. And though we will start off pretty gusty, 40 kilometers an hour from the northwest, it will taper off down to about 15 to 20 K as the overnight conditions continue with a low of 7 Celsius. That's going to set the stage for a sunnier, calmer couple of days, which is good news. But unfortunately, so far, as we head into the weekend, it's looking to turn a bit gray again.
Okay. All right, good news though, like you said, for us and the animals, that those thunderstorms.
We need a break after last night.
Seem to be behind us. All right, thanks a lot, Fiona. Well, let's turn our attention to some big news nationally now, and especially for travelers, thousands of them across this country. WestJet has begun canceling some of its flights as a strike by its mechanics looms. We'll have details on that and more when your news hour continues right after the break.
This group has been suppressed, not only just here at WestJet, but throughout the industry.